Welcome to Center of Light. Clarity. I'm going to need it tonight. Center of Light. Always clarity. It's about clarity. I can't even begin to express that idea. The point. Hello, Katie. Hello, Zeta, Faye, Kelly, Trisha, Dana, Gene, my bro. Let's see what's happening on YouTube. Right in the middle of my monologue, I switch gears. Hello, Dana, Sue. Everyone, welcome. Share this. Why not? Tonight is Center of Light. I'm out of town, y'all. Exit. Exodus. Last night, late last night, about 10, maybe 11, I want to watch a movie. What else can I do? It's 10 degrees here. It's freezing. So I started watching the 10 Commandments. It inspired me on a great level. But tonight is not necessarily about the life of Moses in the Exodus that happened 3,500 years ago. It is. That's the parallel of today. It's the example of today. See, we learned 3,500 years ago. We progressed. We've fallen. We progressed. We've fallen. We progressed. God's calling. We've fallen. The cyclical nature of in and out, up, down, hot, cold, left, right, back, front, whatever it is, life, death, control, liberation. Right now, we are definitely in a control situation. But who is doing the actual controlling? Well, they are. Who's the they? Parts of you. So we've graduated in this regard to moving from having the consciousness of being controlled and allowing it to no longer allowing it. So tonight is Center of Light exit. Center of Light, I'm out of here, y'all. Center of Light, I'm done with this nonsense. But we're going to reflect. I am going to reflect. I hope you join me. Please, again, share this everywhere. Hello, Kelly Bauman, Nori Love. We are going to reflect on the beautiful, powerful life of the avatar known as Moshe, more so known as Moses. Last night at 10:30, 11 o'clock, I hunkered down for 4 hours and watched the 10 Commandments. Bruh, what a powerful, doesn't matter about the dogma. I'm talking about the presentation of something mighty, magical, majestic, spiritual. Charlton Heston just freaking blew my mind. All that water and all those effects, this was in the 1954. I would say this would have to be the first green screen kind of thing. It didn't look real, but it looked just like, it didn't have to look real. It was real. The delivery, the consciousness of the delivery was real. And even though Charlton Heston did amazing, everybody, James Cagney, what's his name? The guy that did Vincent Price, Yul Brynner, bring Moses to me. Wow. I loved his acting in that movie. All of his movies. Yul Brynner's no joke. But especially in 10 Commandments, he was just the epitome of Pharaoh, controller, his eyes. Watch his eyes, his body posture. He's buff, tough, gruff, and rough, right? So tonight is Center of Light. I'm out of here. Exodus. How it parallels with today. I do want to share with you something that is now happening with Center of Light, as well as many other platforms who are joining this spiritual hub. Let me post these into these forums. I love you, sexy holes. Human souls, Facebook, YouTube. Hello, girls on YouTube. So it shall be written, so it shall be done. You're right, Ramona. I am now part of a new website, social media site. It's created by my brother, Derek Grosskirth. Yeah, Derek Grosskirth. It's called The Mystic Circle. You get a 7-day trial, all kinds of meditations for free. Join up. It's very minimally. You get all these authors, all these teachers. Check it out. You can always do the 7-day trial thing. But there are some free stuff there. Why not take advantage of it? Tonight is Center of Light, y'all. Exit. I'm out of here. I'm done with this bullshit. This nonsense. But we're going to liken this to the time of Moshe or Moses. Donna Owen says, beloved, hello all. Can't stay long. Still without power. Oh my God, darling. I'm giving you a care poke. It's 10 degrees here, dear. God bless you. I hope it's at least 11 where you are. 10 degrees is not fun. As to why of my garb. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. Again, when you get 4 hours you can set aside. I get it, you might have to break it up. If you have to, okay. But if you can set yourself aside and everything else for a quarter of your, a sixth of your day, you get an intermission right in the middle. So it's not that hard. The acting, the poetry, my God, the dialogue, the script, the story. Wow, it's truly an amazing movie. No, it's an amazing experience. So how does Exodus from the time of Moses, Moshe, Avatar Moshe, parallel with us today? I remember many years ago when I first started writing The Divine Principle. I was hanging out with a friend of mine by the name of Chris Adamson. He was watching the Ten Commandments, and I was there, watching it with him, just hanging out, doing what young aspiring musicians who want to be rock stars do. Watch TV. And we're watching the Ten Commandments. And I've never really been Bible learned. Never. And as I'm leaving his house, I hear the strong arm of the law, the strong arm of Pharaoh. I keep hearing this. And this is never mentioned in the movie. So I went to Exodus in the Bible, Moses, and I found this passage, and it just took me by surprise, awe, shock, appreciation, gratitude for the alignment. So tonight is about the exodusing of consciousness. Let me share with you a little bit about that and what I'm implying. Tonight's presentation, as well as the time we're living in, is about the exit or the exodus of consciousness. A consciousness of control to one of a liberation from bondage. Slavery. Horrible parents. Hello, Angie, Katini. What's up, Cheese? Angela, it is 10-ish degrees here. I hope you stay warm, girl. I'm glad you made it here tonight. Thank you. Tonight is about an exodusing of consciousness, an exiting of consciousness from one of slavery, control, to one of liberation from bondage. Let me give you some synonyms of exodus. Mass departure, withdrawal, evacuation, leaving, exit, migration, immigration. It's a new word for me. I'm gonna look it up. Hijra, diaspora, flight, escape, retreat, fleeing. Many souls today are exodusing control consciousness, while others are still worshiping the golden calf. And I don't mean money. I mean the old paradigm. Many souls are exodusing, I'm creating a word, slavery, poverty, abuse, consciousness. And they're moving into liberation consciousness. Well, Keith, people are doing said things. I get it. Yes, they are. And they're trying their best. But depending on who you are, now you know the rest of the story, says Paul Harvey. They're going to try in every way possible. You have to cross the River Jordan into the land of Israel, you child of the protector of light that you are. You have to get out of wandering in the desert and wondering what's happening to you while you are in the desert. What is the desert? It's dry, it's barren, it has no life, it has no fruit. You're parched, you are thirsty. Your thirst plays a very important, integral role. It's only when we're thirsty that we search for water. Life-giving, precious water. Try searching for 40 years. Center of light, exit. Exodus. Gonna be right back when we get into this delicious spiritual meat and potatoes with gravy presentation. Please share this everywhere. I watched, again, for those who are just joining, the Ten Commandments last night. I'm not going to say anything else. I can sit here and just repeat that one phrase over and over. So I'll see you guys shortly. Be back. And until then, why not take a breath? Breathe fully. Exit slavery, bondage, consciousness. Exodus out of the Egyptian, old world Egyptian consciousness. This is not a racism remark, so don't go there. I'm just using this word to paint the idea of back when, what it was like, the Egyptian rule or the Roman rule, Israelite rule. There were even Egyptians back in those days who were Israelites because they wanted peace. They wanted unity, unification with everyone else that they knew in the world, even though they thought the world was flat. The point is, there's gray area everywhere, and pancakes do need to be turned over here and there. So, what I mean by Egyptian rule, I don't mean anything slight against the Egyptians presently. It's a model of the consciousness that was happening then in this allegory. Now, take a breath, breathe. I will see you shortly. I do have a teacher that's going to speak later. Stick around. Center of Light.
Trust that I will guide you in whatever you do. Just remember to breathe and do your very best to live in love, give in love, be in love, and love you shall receive.
What I want to be and see, what I want to see and want, knowing God is by my side. There is nothing I need to know. Expand myself to know there is no one else but me and God who's in my heart. expect myself to know there is no one else but me and God.
Welcome back to Center of Light. Thank you, Heathery. She says she loves the music. Lavender Soul. I'm selling these albums very cheaply. These albums, all three of them, used to sell for $20 a piece. I'm selling them all three for $20. We got thousands. We just want to move them. Contact me, Keith. I'm interested. You can put it in this forum or you can send me a personal message. Either way. But in this forum, I also did leave a link for my bestseller, Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. Bondage. Everything's backwards, so forgive me. Bondage. Crossing the bridge to the soul. Crossing the river Jordan into Israel. And you are Moses. Moses supposes his toes are roses. Center of Light, exit. Exodus. I'm out of here. I am out of poverty, slavery, bondage, consciousness. Are you? If you are, tell me how you're doing it. I want to follow your footsteps. You may know something I don't. And trust me, I will keep up. I will keep up. In fact, when I get the hang of what you're trying to share with me, I'm probably going to pass you up. I'm out of bondage. I'm out of it. I'm done with it. Unless it's sexual. No, I'm teasing. Or am I? Angela Cretini says, I want one package of the CDs. Angela, if you would, send me an inbox. I check them first thing in the morning with that same message, and we will make it happen. $24, I lied to you, $25 plus shipping. You can't beat that. The music is atmospheric, it's gorgeous, it's ambient, it's peaceful, it's inspiring. I'll play another one for you here, Angie, for those who are unfamiliar with Lavender Soul, so you can get a little more of a framework of what this is all about, Lavender Soul wise. Let's get down to the presentation tonight. The Center of Light. I ate some phenomenal soup today. Lots of garlic. I made a veggie soup. Yummy. Tonight, the Center of Light exit. I am exiting out of this nonsense. I'm done with it. Nori says, what a surprise. Nori says handcuffs. I love it. Nori? No, I'm teasing. So let's get down to this presentation. We're going to get into the desert. Why the desert? Because in the desert it feels like fire. The reason they exodusing Egypt. They had to cross the River Jordan. But if my memory serves me right, where's my Geritol? Anybody got some Geritol? It's been so long since I read scripture. That no one could cross the River Jordan. I don't know about you couldn't. Maybe a crocodile or you would drown. Point is, you couldn't cross the River Jordan. You're not supposed to enter the land of the New World. Hello, 2021. It was their new world then. From bondage to liberation. Until everyone was purified. It took many years. Moses passed the torch to Joshua, the stone cutter. Watch the movie. It's freaking fantastic. Moses lived to be 900, give or take, years old. He was not supposed to cross. We can get into scripture, but that's not my aim. My aim is to bring this up to parallel then to now, which is the same place. It is absolutely, undoubtedly the same place. Leaving bondage to liberation. All right, let's move to the presentation. From Homecoming, second version, second chapter that will be out in the future. I'll get to that shortly. Let me give you the definitions and the explanation of Exodus. How is this not paralleled with today? Beyond. Wow. The goal, this is Exodus in the Moses day, 3,500 give or take years ago. The goal of the divine plan in Exodus is a return to humanity's state of the Garden of Eden, so that God can dwell in the Israelites, you, me, we, as he had with Adam and Eve, whether that's metaphorical, allegorical. The point is, it's beautiful through the ark and tabernacle. You are the tabernacle as far as the place and the location that holds the sacred document. But the ark, meaning your body, the manifestation of said doctrine, text, sacred code, and scripture, which together form a model of the universe. In later Abrahamic religions, Israel becomes the guardian of God's plan for humanity. Bruh. The story of Moses was a powerful example for them and us. It doesn't say and us, I added that. The Exodus is also, bold letter, important as a model of liberation from slavery. One of the interesting aspects of the Exodus story, however, is that entering the promised land meant kicking out the other nations. What does that mean? It means kicking out the nations. Everything that is not natural, nations, not natural as a nationality to said people of liberation consciousness, kicking out all the nonsense, all the other nations, because you can bet, even though it may be subgrouped and or categorized, nations under liberation simply always means liberation. It just simply means liberation. In this regard, there are no other nations. Nations implies a separation, as to why the word is plural. Nations, not nation, or natural. Nations meaning there's boundaries. Invisible constructs in the mind that says, I'm Egyptian, I am African, I am this, I am that. Unification does not see that at all. Unity sees humanity as a whole. If you want of scripture, It's not a test. I'm not testing you. If you're simply just curious, like I said earlier, here's my disclaimer, my insurance policy. The Bible talks about by night, I'm paraphrasing, they followed the light, the star, the moving whatever in the sky. I hope I'm correct, not because out of arrogance. If I'm wrong, please direct me there so I can learn and do part 2. But paraphrasing the idea, it talks about they followed in the desert by night this light. And during the day, it settled on the ground. What is that? What is moving at night and it settles on the ground? I'm not going to go into ancient aliens and conspiracy theory. I'm asking a very simple question. And then you have this guy doing this. I'm not saying the power of the living God and the living light. When he says, I am a vessel of your power, love, and might, move through me this day, this night. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm curious, just asking a question. What split the Red Sea wide open? Could it have been this thing by night, this light they followed, during the day it settled? Well, let me offer this to the situation. When Moses was on the mountain, Mount Sinai, before the presence of I am that I am, Scripture says, I will come back in all my glory. I'm coming back in all my glory. A friend of mine by the name of Jim Renford Powell done some research, and then I done the research per his suggestion. The Hebrew word, if you keep looking and digging into old Hebrew language, the word glory means heavy thing. I'm coming back in my heavy thing. What is a heavy thing? I'm just asking a question. Let's see what's happening on YouTube. Sue Lindsay says separation as in the humankind. Yeah. Let's see what's happening on Facebook. Heather Buttery says jokes. Ha ha. She loved my soup I posted today. UFO in the sky and one on the ground during the day. All my glory, heavy thing. These are my notes. Just do the research. Look it up. Feel your heart. Your ever knowing, powerful, lasting heart. It will tell you. So tonight is not about aliens. That's not what it is about at all. It's truly about exiting poverty consciousness, slavery consciousness, abusive consciousness. For those who are just joining, last night I watched the 10 Commandments and I was just nailed to the wall in a good way. Nailed? In a good way. My heart opened up and it bled. It was delicious. 4-hour movie of delicious, but it was scrumptious. I'm now going to share with you a teacher and a teaching of liberation. So tonight, as I said, is Center of Light exit, but also Exodus. The exodusing or the exiting of getting out of unconscious consciousness. Because you see, there are consciousnesses everywhere, on every possible level, in, out, all around, all about, without a doubt, they're everywhere. Some of them are stabilizing, some of them are not having such luck. So there's a lot of crossfade and a lot of gray area. And you will teeter-totter, bounce back and forth into these different consciousnesses until you find yourself. Just make sure, regardless, in your dance toward liberation, that your intention is one of clarity. That's all that is required. I don't know where I'm at. You don't have to know where you're at. Just know who you are. And in who you are, in knowing that, you will know that there's no place that you cannot withstand the storm. The storm can bitch all at once, and no harm will come to you. Now, that does not exclude maybe it is your time of exit and exodus from this body. Nobody can tell you that but you. Shunyamurti is going to speak about liberation in a very different context. It may not sound old world, Moshe, Avatar Moshe, Moses crossing the River Jordan like. Nonetheless, it is about putting the lamb's blood on the door, opening the door to the lamb's blood, and I don't mean in a vampiric kind of way. The lamb's blood, that which has been sacrificed for all of us to live in liberation. In other words, the lamb's blood, whatever sacrifice in garb or guise that is for any situation, is that which protects you. Jesus gave you a second chance. Joshua going around the streets of Egypt, putting lamb's blood on the doorway so the angel of death can pass you by to give you a second chance. There's a third chance and a fourth chance. After a few times, Spirit says, bruh, your chances are done. And they are done. My chances are done. I've exhausted all of them, and I've exalted them as well, and all the ideas of them. You have to get out of poverty, slavery, bondage, consciousness, and cross the river Jordan, cross the bridge to the soul, and dwell in the kingdom of Eden. Shunyamurti. I'll see you shortly.
All beings share the same self. There is only one self. You are that self. You could be nothing else. The one self is dreaming this infinite, unified field of space and time, and of apparently material appearances, bodies, stories, karma, egoic identities. But all are temporary, illusory, fabrications of the one intelligence, the one self. That is pure, infinite consciousness, the dreamer of the field in which the cosmos appears. And it appears in order for those beings who appear in the cosmic dream to awaken from the illusion of the ego and of its suffering, its limitations, its inner conflicts, its karmic clashes, its lostness and confusion, its false beliefs, and its self-doubt. Yoga is the process of awakening. That awakening does not take time. It does not require the purification of the ego trait by trait. It simply requires the purification through the dropping of the ego identity. How long does it take to drop that which is not real in the first place? How long does it take to be free of a fictional prison? No time is involved, but only the will to freedom, the will to the realization of the self that is not dependent upon any other beings or phenomenal conditions or anyone's approval or any sort of acquisition, whether of money or of bodily looks or health or even state of consciousness. One's liberation from illusion is unconditional. It is absolute. At every moment in space and time, you are free because you are the one self that is beyond space and time. Simply realize that the very core of your consciousness is projected into the body, identified with the body simply through habit and through disidentification with the bodily vehicle and the mental vehicle. Realize that none of the karma of the ego pertains to you. It cannot stick to you. It is not an obstacle to you. The only obstacle is the refusal to drop the false belief that you are the ego mind with its sordid history and its lack of conviction in its own existential worthiness and authenticity. It is simply the affection for the narrative that is the cause of one's suffering that causes that suffering to continue. By the simple loss of interest, of dispassion for the ego narrative, simply by the will to stop playing its game or believing in it or entertaining its thoughts, it will be extinguished. It is only your belief in it that breathes the apparent life into it, that causes its habitual patterns to replicate themselves. This is the moment in the exhaustion of the ego's potency, in its total fragmentation and loss of all excuses for itself, for its lack, for its usurpation by its own shadow, and by its failure to enable you to live up to the yearnings of your own heart that prove that the ego mind is not you and not worthy to be carried as a burden by you. It is time to let it be free of its misery, to let the illusory vehicle that can not bring you up the mountain of God to the summit, to be allowed to be extinguished from the mental state of being kept alive through artificial means of jouissance in the emergency room of the ego's alarm system as it falters in its ability to carry one to happiness. Take the ego off of all of those apparatuses in the ICU that are trying to keep it alive and allow it to die in peace, so that your real self can emerge, so that the full power of your true being and the stainless purity of your uncreated and unborn and karma-free self can emerge into the phenomenal plane in order to change the trajectory of your personal history and that of the planet. It is now the moment for the revelation of the true source of the intelligence that is directing and choreographing the unfoldment of this cosmic drama, so that the Deus can emerge from the machina, the Holy Ghost from the machinery of evil, and allow the light to cancel out the darkness that would evict the human species from this planet and end the human drama in ignominy. It is in our responsibility and our hands as manifestations and avatars of the One Self to bring the light, the goodness, the power, the wisdom, the clarity, and the joy back into this world, so that the fulfillment of its promise can be achieved for the benefit of all beings. This is the moment in the historic collapse of global civilization that a new order can emerge effortlessly, non-violently, as the purity and power of truth that will stand out from the lies of a world that is lost in disinformation and disastrous disbelief in the divine nature of our being. To witness that eternal and precious, priceless beauty of the unconcealment of the absolute within the relative. But only those who have cast off the relative shadow for the absolute light can bring about the dissemination and the emanation of those vibrational frequencies that can awaken and enliven the hearts of those who have fallen into this zombie apocalyptic scenario that the world is now writhing in. Have mercy on all the suffering souls. Have mercy on your own suffering soul. Have the mercy and the goodness and the wisdom to let the ego illusion drop away and reveal the infinite beauty of the one self shining through your eyes and working through your heart to bring about a paradise in the midst of the flames that are engulfing the garden in this moment of transition at the omega point of time, and allow a new beginning to be born. The fate of our world is in your hands and your heart.
Welcome to Center of Light. I love being me. I hope you love being you. Opportunity to look, to see. Being lightning in the illusion. Grounding, opening. Join me in this forever endeavor of becoming the infinite potential itself. The Bible, Peter being the rock. The storm can bitch. Being in center, there is no storm. Convincing, but it is drama. Roller coaster at an amusement park, it's fun. That's why you get on it, but it scares you shitless. You, the person strapped in the car, knows that you're just on a ride. Likewise, what's happening all around you? It's just a ride. Sometimes lightning strikes in the family. Sometimes lightning strikes in the world. I'm just like you. No different. Redirecting. Everything around us begins to change simply by our way of being. Christ, Buddha, Krishna, your great-grandmother, icon. My brother or sister said something yesterday that truly moved me. And because of what they said, they sparked an entire movement. Listen to what I'm telling you. John Doe or Jill Doe, they spilled their heart guts. Unity with an idea that is greater and higher. Bring the lightning to earth. We understand higher perception. Things do come along, knock us off of our center. And I recognize that I am off center. What am I going to do from that point? Am I going to continue to freak out? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm cognizant, intelligent, grounded. Compose yourself. The best ploy. Yes, it caught me off guard. You didn't see it coming. You don't have to see what's coming. You are the calm in the storm, no matter how much the storm wants to be. Like Peter, you become the rock. You become the lightning. Welcome back to Center of Light. I need some music. The light is flickering like the one in the desert, saying, children of God, the river Jordan is over here. Cross it. Was that a UFO? Don't know. Does it matter? It might be fun. Read the Bible from an alien perspective. It won't change your mind nor your heart. It will just add another element of possibility. What a great place to start. When I was listening to this Shunyamurti video a minute ago, watching it, I was just going through the Shunyamurti videos today, looking at liberation. Moses, Egyptian, Israel, liberation. I just listened to a few minutes of it. Sounds good to me. Makes the same point naturally here now. But something he said, 2 or 3 things he said, but this is the one I wrote down. He said, so tonight is Center of Light, Exodus. We're all trying to exodus in our exodusing to a place of liberation conscious from slavery, bondage conscious. And so last night I watched this movie, literally. And it dawned on me to simply do a presentation in this inspiration to talk about what I'm talking about right now as it comes to me. So what I gathered would hit me very hard was when I was watching the Shunyamurti video with you. He said, up to the mountain to God, to the summit. And I said, what? Alignment. I didn't watch this to the end. I just watched a couple of seconds and it felt like I need to insert it. So tonight is Center of Light Exodus, about Moses and the timeline and the parallel it has with us currently. And I just heard Shunyamurti say, up to the mountain toward God, to the summit, Mount Sinai. We have to become pure. We have to jump into the fire. That's why Moses, I don't know why, but he chose not to. But that's why no one could cross the River Jordan until everyone was purified. In fact, my sister, who I love beyond measure, Rena Winfield, did the research for me while I was doing my thing about how I said that when the Hebrews were crossing the desert, that they followed the light in the sky at night and during the day was on the ground. Thank you, Rena, for that. She found it and posted it, and this is what it says. They followed the light in the nights. Didn't say many lights. It says they followed the light in the night. I don't know if this is literal, metaphorical, figurative. I don't know. It's been so long since I read biblical scripture. They followed the light in the nights, meaning ongoingly, and in the morning it was manna or food, sustenance, that which they took in to nourish themselves, not because their bellies were empty, it's because they were looking to fill the soul. That applies on all levels. They followed the light in the nights, and in the morning it was manna or food, came down for them to eat. It didn't say it showed up on a vine, on a branch, on a plant, coming out of the ground like an onion or a carrot. I'm not disagreeing. I'm not trying to create ratings or conspiracy theory. I'm just asking a question. They followed the light in the nights, and in the morning it was manna or food, came down for them to eat. So now I'm going to move on to part 2 of Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, which will be released in the future. My conversation with Spirit, bondage, poverty consciousness, as we cross the River Jordan, cross the bridge to the soul, and become Moses or Avatar Moshe ourselves. My conversation with Spirit starts off like this. This is from a chapter called Releasing Control and Letting Go. So, why wasn't this chapter called Releasing Control? Well, is not releasing control their problem and letting go our problem? Is it not the same thing, the same coin, 2 different sides? It is. So, this comes from the chapter Releasing Control and Letting Go. Spirit says, I shall now speak of control on a larger scale. I ask, Spirit is speaking to me, I ask you, Keith, to write exactly what you are receiving without attachment. Bro, that was so hard to do. Like Arena said on YouTube a minute ago, how do you just simply toss the ego out, right? I shall now speak for control on a larger level. I ask you, Keith, to write exactly what you're receiving without attachment. I know it will be a challenge because you still think you need to control what is being said. We still want that golden calf, right? But I see this as an excellent opportunity for you to practice more control relinquishment. Moses was born into a Hebrew family when Egypt was under the strong arm of Pharaoh. And this is what I got when I was at my friend's house that night. I did not just go back into this presentation. You will understand that alignment. When he was an infant, Moses' mother placed him in a small basket. So the story goes, literal or figurative, is irrelevant. And if you don't understand that and you need proof, you're not living in the land of magic, the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Forever, where an innocent child and its purity deserves everything. So whether it's allegory or factual, doesn't matter. Get out of that. That is still under the guise of control. Moses was born into a Hebrew family when Egypt was under the strong arm of Pharaoh. When he was an infant, Moses' mother placed him in a small basket beside the river Nile. She did this to shield lamb's blood, shield him from the soldiers' nonsense, those who want to enforce control, censors, this, that, and the other. She protected her child in the only way she knew how, then hoped against hope. What a beautiful poetic phrase. Hoped against hope that he would survive his ordeal to the river's side. Again, the river's side. There's a river involved in the beginning of Moses's, your life, our life. There was already a river involved, the Nile. The Nile is known to be the most stankiest, dirtiest, nasty river, but it is a blessing for those who sees it as such purification, and they're able to cross the Nile, which is so full of human fecal matter, it doesn't affect them. Likewise, in the Moses day, they crossed the river Jordan. So Moses was automatically baptized in water and left Exodus, this world, in the Exodus that he created, crossing the river Jordan. In a manner of speaking, her prayers were answered because after a time, Pharaoh's daughter discovered the baby boy's basket nestled among the reeds, the bulrushes. She felt so much compassion for the infant that she brought him in to live into the royal house. And I don't mean the royal house as in the pharaohs of Egypt. Simply, analogously, symbolically, royal house, period. As he grew, Moses' daily life was filled with the privileges, like we have, that only the royals enjoyed. He became every part an Egyptian. That is called the dynamic between where we are. I'm an Egyptian. I'm an Israelite. We go through the struggle from bondage to liberation. This is not racist. This is used as a point to make a distinction between how things were, how things can be, and so forth and so on. Don't take me out of context. If you do, it's your folly. It's not my fault. As he grew, Moses' daily life was filled with the privileges that only the royals enjoyed. He became every part Egyptian except for the blood that coursed through his veins. And I say to Spirit, or ask, I don't understand why so many children were killed and only why only the males? Spirit responds, so that the Egyptians, or the Egyptian consciousness back then, would never have to face a rebellion led by Hebrew men. Little did they know that what they were about to be confronted with would be far more daunting and beyond their ability to control. And I say, there came a time when Moses killed an Egyptian for striking a Hebrew, and then he buried him in the sand. When Pharaoh found out about what Moses had done, he banished him to the desert. Whilst wandering in search of a physical and spiritual sustenance, Moses learned of his lineage and began to turn his attention to his true people, the Hebrews. His compassion for his tribe, hello tribe Yanava, led him to me, meaning God, for the guidance he needed to free them. It was then that I focused my attention on him, and it was then that Moses became true royalty, not in the house of Pharaoh, but in the house of God. One day Moses set out to climb Mount Sinai because he believed that something of great spiritual significance was happening at its peak. He had seen a fire in the sky that engulfed it, and he took it as a sign from God, me, that could not be ignored. His instincts were soon proven right. There, on the mountaintop, he was instructed to descend, go to Pharaoh, the one that controls, or the ones that control. This is how this parallels then to now, and inform them of what would happen if the controllers, Pharaoh, did not let his people from bondage go. But when Moses and his brother Aaron brought God's warning to Pharaoh, the ruler chose to ignore him, assuming that his power struggle was with only one man. How could he know that when this simple man, the true God, was alive? There's much, and I ask the simple question: when will this cleansing occur? This was 1997. It's happening now, Keith. Take a look around. Can you not see how the infrastructures of family, religion, education, and geopolitics are beginning to weaken? And I say without a doubt, but I also see a lot of people who want to rebuild and are building their lives on the truth. I see it everywhere. I see it in the news. I see it in the eyes of people who don't even know they are searching to cross the river Jordan, to be purified into the new world, into the Garden of Eden. It seems like everyone is looking for something to fill the hole we all feel inside. And I say, what's going on? And Spirit says, I am answering your prayers. And I say, huh? You seem to think that the rebuilding of society and everyone's search for truth are different from one another, but they are one and the same. You are all creating these changes by finally recognizing the illusion you have been living in, by realizing your relationship to a cause, Moses was the cause, greater than yourselves, and by deciding to take up that cause. It is through this new perception that you are becoming more globally aware, watching everything that takes place within the institutions at work in your modern world. Now, when mishaps happen, you demand answers. And I say or ask, will we ever know all the answers? I mean the truth about all the things that have been kept from us. Spirit responds, if you continue your quest for me, indeed you will, because all questions will fall by the wayside when I become your answer. The answer within, the answer without question. What I am saying is that once everyone begins to establish the divine within themselves, you will find the solutions to all of your problems. You are on the cusp to choosing your fate. And I ask the question, what is it that we need to do to ensure that we make it? Take responsibility for everything that happens and tolerate nothing that is not in alignment with where you want to be. And I respond, I am sure that giving up of our desire, relinquishing control, and I'm sure that giving up our desire to acquire stuff wouldn't hurt either. Spirit says, no, it would not. But surrender does not only require you to release your want for possessions, it also means you must abandon the dogmatic religious, cultural, and political beliefs instilled in you by those who want to control. You must back out of those systems completely if you want to cross the river, if you are not being fed loving spoonfuls of universal truth. And I say, I have met many who talk the path of universal truth. But are there enough of us to cause the world to shift? All over the world, there are men and women who are living exemplary lives that they elevate the consciousness of their sphere of acquaintances. There are enough of you, all right. It is when you will make the shift that remains the question. Pray it will not take too long, because a few years hence, Christ, the Good Shepherd, will be ready to gather his flock. This is an ongoing dance that we are all unfolding into. I vesseled this the other day. Before I exit, before a presentation, Walking the Razor's Edge, I believe, this came through. All that is natural turns within itself, becoming infinitely greater expressions of itself, or supernatural, God. And there is nothing any of us can do about it. If you want to see God in its most natural state, the supernatural state, you have to open yourself up to beauty. It's just simply another cycle. We're in that other cycle. You have to understand who you are. Most importantly, that's for sure. But you also have to understand the subfolders and the subgroups and the categories that many aspects and ideas of what you think is you are placed in these folders and files. You have to look at them honestly. Where are you being controlled? You're not. And if you are, who is doing it? You are. Times have shifted from 3,500 years ago. Nonetheless, slavery is slavery. Bondage is bondage. And if you're in such a way, no matter what era you live in, you're feeling the thumb being pressed on you. Or you're transitioning from bondage consciousness to prosperity consciousness to liberation consciousness. Where are you? Check in daily. Just ask yourself, where am I? And you'll know. That's all you need to do every morning. Be in it with at least a minute to however long you choose. Be willing to cross the 40-year desert where you're parched and you're thirsty. Because in your thirst is where we get water. Water, the River Jordan, homecoming, crossing the bridge to the soul, where you get your thirst quenched. I'll see you soon. Tomorrow night on Center of Light Radio, my guest is going to be Michael Dark Hour Roser. And we're going to be speaking about Back in Black. Back in Black! I hit the sack! About black projects, UFOs, all that cool, way out there, cosmic, galactic stuff. I'll see you at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Peace, love, and light to you. Always remember, it's simply about being conscious. TV happens. I love TV. News happens. I like being caught up. Life happens. I like being caught in. But you have to come back home. Garden of Eden, Israel, Jordan River. You have to step over the river. The river is very life-giving, very moving. But if you're not conscious of a river, when you step in it, it will drown you. Just remember that. You're loved beyond measure.